Today I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to defend the fast break. So hello everyone, my name is Alan from Al's Basketball Training. If you're new to this channel, on this channel I show you basketball plays, drills, and skills. So if you like that stuff, hit that like button and subscribe. I would also like to say thank you to all the well wishes that I got from my grandmother. She was my biggest fan and she recently passed away, so thank you to everybody. But getting down to today's video, 5 amazing tips on how you can stop the fast break. So obviously I'm on defense, I don't need this basketball, but I do want one because obviously I'm on defense, and if you don't have a basketball in the game of basketball, you're not going to score, you're not going to win. You need to be really good at defense. And that starts on the fast break because a lot of teams are starting to model their whole kind of play system around the fast break. So the number 1 tip I'm going to give you is to not allow any layups at all in the key. Nothing in the key. So if you're going like 5-on-1 and you're the one player back, basically plant yourself a foot from the rim and do not allow anyone to get a layup. Now, how you're going to do that? Well, you're probably asking how. Let's say there's 2 people coming down on 1. Okay. So first what you're going to do is guard the first player straight up. And then when he's going for the layup, he might pass it. But because we're still close to the rim, we're still in front of the rim, even if he passes it, we only have to take 1 step to block the other layup. And I always practice, or I always get my team to understand that if they're a foot away from the basket, they're able to block, especially if they're over 6 feet tall, which a lot of basketball players at the high school level are. They can guard a lot of the key if they're only a foot away from the rim. The farther you get away from the rim, the lower your percentage shot is going to be. Near the rim, you can be 98%. If there's somebody on you, you could be 95%. Taking a few steps out, you're going to be dropping down to 92. And then when you get out to the 3-point line, you're down to 40 or less, depending on the player, depending on the team. So always defend the layup. Going on to number 2 is to stay straight up. You don't want to be giving any weak fouls. If somebody's coming towards the rim, you don't want to be having your hand out like this. You want to be staying straight up, just like that. As soon as your hand goes down and their arms contact yours, it's a foul, and usually that kind of a foul is super weak. You don't want any weak fouls on a fast break because now they just got 2 points and they're going to be lining up for free throw shots. And I hate, as a coach, any weak, soft fouls. They're useless, especially if the player scores. Which now leads me into tip number 3, and that is don't be afraid to foul. Now this totally goes against what I just said, which is don't give any soft fouls. However, what I mean by this one is if you're on a 3-on-0 fast break and you have a 7-footer, I'm just saying 7-footer just because I'm an older adult, but in high school you got some like tall kid coming down for the lane, they're up by 1 with like 30 seconds left. Don't be afraid to go a little bit harder on his arms, because personally 2 points here is a lot easier than 2 points at the free throw line with the crowd screaming. So just to keep that in mind, when you've got a player coming down in the fast break, there's not much time left in the clock, and there's not much of a score of a lead that you have or he has. Don't be afraid to hit a little bit harder to make sure that he doesn't get that layup. Now, I don't mean take his head off. I mean wrap up his arms so that he's unable to get a shot off. Now, what I said in tip number 2 was to keep your arms straight up. Now, if you've got a team coming down 3-on-1, 4-on-1, 3-on-2, 4-on-2, you at first want to have your hands out wide. This is going to allow you to stop the passing lanes or stop the ball from passing a little bit more. Up until you need to get underneath the rim, that's when you will keep your hands straight up. And then my 5th tip of the day, which is probably the most important tip, and that is to be more like Kyle Lowry, be more like the defensive player that every coach dreams to have, and that is a player who just lives for the chance to take a charge. Now, I was one of those players who lived for the chance to take a charge. However, personally, I was always bigger than the rest of the people. Up until like halfway through grade 12, I was a good 50 pounds heavier at my position. So, when people were running at me, I didn't fall down. My feet were planted, my hands were straight up, and they fell down. It was still a charge because it's my land. My feet were planted, I ain't moving, I'm a wall. Well, if you're a little bit smaller, don't be afraid to fall. Make sure you fall properly, which is to fall and then push yourself with your hands so that you kind of push yourself and not like break your butt. Anyways, I hope that you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe, and I will see you guys again tomorrow for another daily basketball video.